Welcome to OMARanger004, and today we will talk about Scorpina, but before we start, please join me on Patreon by OMARanger004. Your small donation helps run the channel. With that out of the way, let's begin. Scorpina was one of Rita Repulsa's most ruthless and dangerous enforcers, besides Galdar, whom she frequently fought alongside. She fought with a crescent-shaped sword that could be thrown like a boomerang, and when she grew to giant size, she became a scorpion monster that had a giant stinger-like ponytail and a large claw in place of her left hand. In spite of her minor villain role, Scorpina served as the main antagonist of the episodes Green with Evil Part 3, The Rockstar, A Star is Born, and Goldar's Vice Versa, as well as the comic Soul of the Dragon. Very little is known about Scorpina's background other than that she was an old friend of Rita Repulsa and, according to Babu, did horrible things, including stinging him to the point that he complained about it for 3 weeks. After Tommy is defeated by the original Megazord and its Mastodon shield, Rita decides that she needs more muscle and summons Scorpina from within a boulder. The Power Rangers later confront her in the warehouse district, but she summons putties and then overwhelms them. Having made her grand entrance, Rita teleports away. Once Galdar gets the upper hand against the original Megazord, Rita makes Scorpina grow into her giant hideous monster form. The Megazord is severely weakened by the combined power of Galdar and Scorpina, and the loss of its solar energy courtesy of a solar eclipse she has created is enough that Galdar is able to jump kick the Megazord to the ground as the eclipse reaches its zenith. Jason calls on the Power Sword for an energy boost, and the Megazord gets back on its feet and reclaims the advantage on Galdar and Scorpina. However, Rita then summons the Green Ranger, who has been captured during a second attack on the command center, and enlarges him too. Together, they decimate the Megazord, and Galdar and Tommy annihilate it with a giant energy beam. Galdar and Scorpina later drink to their success over the Rangers in the Moon Palace. However, the Rangers manage to regain their Zords and return Tommy to the side of good, where he then joins the Rangers as their 6th Ranger. After transforming Kimberly's grandmother's spinning wheel into the Wheel of Misfortune, Rita sends Galdar and Scorpina down to Earth in order to grow. The individual Zords are no match. Galdar netting up the Tyrannosaurus, and energy blasts from Scorpina prevent the other Zords from interfering before they cut it down. Luckily, Tommy breaks free from a putty rope and blasts them down with the Dragonzord's missile barrage before freeing the Tyrannosaurus Dinozord. Midway through the Zord fight, the wheel arrives and manages to put up a solid fight, even giving the Megazord trouble. It is ultimately destroyed when the Megazord combines with the Dragonzord and Titanus to form the original Ultrazord in a last-ditch effort for victory, prompting the other villains to retreat. After Jason smashes the Crystal of Nightmares, Scorpina teleports down to be grown by Rita once again alongside Galdar. The Rangers morph and summon the Megazord, but are completely overwhelmed by the duo, finally getting knocked down by a devastating double jump kick from Galdar. However, they then summon the Power Sword and cut them down before unleashing the finisher. Although the duo survive, they are badly injured and have to retreat. After the recently repowered Tommy regains his Dragon Dagger, retrieves the Dragonzord and defeats Galdar in single combat, Rita sends down Scorpina to help Galdar defeat Tommy, and they enlarge themselves into their giant forms. As giants, the two warriors battle Dragonzord and take a pounding until they realize that they have left the Rangers' stolen power coins unguarded, so retreat, but Tommy is able to escape with the coins and eventually helps the Rangers destroy the Dremel. Scorpina is present when Lord Zed returns to the moon, but is absent when he banishes Rita and for most of Zed's early endeavors against the Power Rangers. Sabrina revealed as Scorpina's absence. Jason, Trini and Zach leave the team and are replaced by Rocky DeSantos, Adam Park and Aisha Campbell. Sometime after that, Angel Grove High School organizes a vice versa dance, but Adam is reluctant to go as he has no one to go with. Sensing an opportunity to lure the Rangers into a deadly trap, Zed has Scorpina disguise herself as a new student named Sabrina. She appears in the youth center shortly after some of Zed's Z-Putties ambush Adam and prevent him from hitching up with a girl Aisha told him fancied him. She poses as an ordinary teenager and is offered by Adam to be looked around, but passes her martial arts gear off to Aisha snobbishly whilst Adam is head over heels for her. Taking Adam on a date in the park, she leads him around whilst objecting to Aisha tagging along before Galdar and the Putty Patrol appear. When Adam tells Sabrina to get back, Scorpina refuses and reveals herself, and the revelation of that is enough for Galdar to tie them to a tree whilst they are distracted. Fortunately, the other Rangers arrive and wipe out the Putties while Tommy, having since become the White Ranger, takes on Galdar and Scorpina. Tommy slashes their weapons away from him so they give him ground. However, he then kicks back Galdar, blocks a swing from Scorpina, and smacks away Goldar's sword. Tommy then jumps over a Galdar sword swing, kicks away his sword, and kicks him away. After Billy rescues the hostages with his power lance, allowing them to morph, Tommy immediately split kicks them down and out of the fight entirely. With the Putties gone and his generals knocked down, Zed throws one of his growth grenades, which grows Galdar and Scorpina, with the latter once again assuming her monster form. The Power Rangers summon the Thunder Megazord whilst Tommy summons his White Tiger Zord. Scorpina fires her tail straight at it, which causes giant explosions but fails to phase the Zord, and it transforms into warrior mode. The Thunder Megazord energy slashes the two villains down with the Thunder Saber finisher before the White Tiger Zord blasted them with its White Tiger Thunderbolts. However, neither Scorpina and Galdar are phased by that attack, and Scorpina's Claws blasts combined with Goldar's Eye blasts are strong enough to wipe out the Thunder Megazord and force the White Tiger Zord back into Tiger mode. Fortunately, Tommy rallies the Rangers and repowers his Zord before summoning Tor the Shuttlezord, and the Thunderzords form the Thunder Ultrazord. Rather than crush the two arch-villains, they just blast down the two, who are hurt enough to be forced to retreat whilst quoting Oliver Goldsmith. Scorpina is never seen again after that attack and is unaccounted for when Zordon's energy wave is unleashed over the galaxy and destroys most of the villains and purifies Rita, Zed, Divatox and Astronema. Scorpina's current status would remain unknown for another 28 years. Soul of the Dragon Scorpina returns 33 years after her last appearance as a strange black-cloaked figure calling herself the Witch, supplying the gangs across Newtek City with high-tech weaponry and special Zeo crystal-like gems that grant them special powers. However, J.J. Oliver, son of former Green Ranger Tommy Oliver, uncovers this scheme inadvertently, and he, Inara and Tommy Oliver confront her in Paston's tower, from which she operates, and reveals herself as JJ reveals himself to be Tommy's son. Scorpina, with a giant black cloak over her face, who thinks the revelation almost makes his betrayal worth it and that she must savor the chance to manipulate Tommy and his son. Tommy threatens to shut off Rita's magic and make her helpless, but the Witch just laughs at him for being so unobservant, and JJ tells Tommy that the Witch isn't Rita at all, to his astonishment. Scorpina then reveals herself, but Inara refuses to believe that nothing about Scorpina is magic, so blasts her with the box as Tommy orders JJ and her to withdraw. Unfortunately, Scorpina has been unfazed by the blast and attacks Tommy from behind, only to be blown away by JJ and Inara's blasters. Unfortunately, Scorpina has been unfazed by the blast and attacks Tommy from behind only to be blown away by JJ and Inara's blasters. As Tommy weakens though, Scorpina prepares to blast him away with her wand only for Inara and Tommy to dive out of the building to their supposed destruction. Alone with JJ, Scorpina compliments him on his father's sacrifice and that, her master, will be pleased before transporting herself and JJ away. In some nearby mountains, Scorpina sets up a candle ritual as JJ, tied to a rock, asks if she is going to kill him and she responds that Lokar needs a sacrifice, but JJ asks what happened to her since she has gone from feared warrior and scourge of the Power Rangers to a flunky dancing around for a giant floating head. Scorpina responds that she doesn't have to tell him anything, but JJ points out that she is about to kill him, so why not monologue? Relenting, she explains the truth. 20 years ago, Scorpina became disillusioned with Rita and began to desire power, so started to read her spell books. However, it was a trap probably set to either test her loyalty or to find who had been breaking into her library, and she was banished to the Talos dimension where she was found and rescued by Lokar, the dimension's ruler and Rita's former despondent henchman. She tried to get him to send her back, but he refused until Zordon's energy wave wiped out his allies and he decided that he had no choice but to use her as an envoy. He sends her back to Earth, but, due to time moving slower in the Talos dimension than on Earth, she appears roughly 8 years after the defeat of Omni and the Trubian Empire. The powered crystals that she has been supplying the gangs with are actually beacons to draw Lokar to Earth as he desires so that he can conquer it. Scorpina has promised Lokar a tribute and she will give it to him so that he will give her the power she craves. More than that of Rita, and will allow her to ascend from minion and foot soldier to take her rightful place as a true villain. However, someone finds it very unimpressive and she turns to see Tommy as Mighty Morphin White, and JJ reveals that she didn't search him very well since he has kept a transmitter on himself which allowed SPD to track him. Unconcerned, Scorpina and an army of loyal thugs heavily outnumber Tommy, and thus this lone white knight shtick won't work. Unfortunately for Scorpina, Tommy isn't alone as he is joined by Inara, an army of Space Patrol Delta officers, Catherine Hillard, the Blue Centurion, and Jack Landers, having reassumed his previous position as SPD Red apparently in SWAT mode. Determined not to fail, Scorpina and her forces do battle and jump slashes Tommy down only to be blasted by Cat, who then rescues JJ even as Scorpina pulls out some of her power crystals and shatters them to earn a giant increase in power. As the group start to retreat, JJ notices something and declares that they have bigger issues just as a giant clawed hand lunges and sends Tommy flying into a wall. The threat turns out to be a titanic metal Scorpina who is more scorpion-like than ever. As the group gawk at her, Scorpina slams the ground hard enough to send them all flying before picking up JJ in one hand and prepares to crush him for her master, even as everyone fires at her to utterly no effect and the Blue Centurion futility demanded her surrender. Fortunately, Tommy has an idea and throws his final morph, Mighty Morphin Green, to JJ, who then uses it to morph into Mighty Morphin Green and break free. As he beats down her thugs, Scorpina claims that it is futile, but then Lokar arrives, having gotten bored of nothing happening and come to punish his minion. She begs for more time, but he has had enough and sucks her back into the Talos dimension whilst her gang is rounded up and arrested by Space Patrol Delta. Neither Scorpina or Lokar have TV story Power Rangers. Soul of the Dragon split history. Scorpina is teleported to the world of the coinless dimension after being exposed to the green chaos crystal. After being sent to the coinless dimension, she joins Lord Draken's new power coalition to vie for power. At some point after this, Scorpina and Draken sit on his balcony and discuss how much Scorpina misses her old mistress, with Draken eventually manipulating her to tell him how to contact Dark Spectre. Scorpina is erased from existence via the heart of the Master thanks to Draken, but returns to existence when the Power Rangers remake All Worlds. Been heard from since, but it can be presumed comic story Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Shattered Grid Finale Issue 1. With Draken presumed dead when the multiverse was remade, though he was actually transported to the main comic universe, Scorpina takes command over his army with Finster 5 as her scientist and confidant. She is quickly forced to fight every force in the universe from Lord Zed to Master Vile and eventually undead Ranger sentries led by an undead version of the world of the coinless Rita Repulsa has returned to remake the world in her image. Scorpina is approached by the Kimberly heart of this world for a team-up to stop Rita with the coinless leadership as her prisoners, but she refuses help and demands the Ranger sentries execute them all. However, she is forced to work with Kimberly when the Ranger sentries realize that Kimberly is right in saying that Rita is the biggest enemy at the moment. Scorpina and Aisha Campbell take on Rita herself, and Scorpina is seemingly killed when she tries to defend Aisha, only to have faked it and is able to send Rita back to hell by smashing her wand. Later, Scorpina tries to reassume command, but the troops trust Kimberly more and Finster 5 advises her to let Kimberly take command, and Scorpina agrees. When Kimberly tries to refuse, Scorpina reminds her of an early speech about selflessness and has Finster give her a more armored outfit as Empress. A few months after the defeat of Rita, Scorpina and the coinless leadership have become Kimberly's advisors, with Scorpina friendlier but more bitter. She eventually develops a friendship with this dimension's version of Adam Park, a Mastodon sentry, but Eclipta, a messenger from Dark Spectre, arrives on Earth as a vanguard for an invasion after they rescue this dimension's Jason is rescued from Draken's super prison known as the Deadlock. She aids Kimberly in a fight against Eclipta but is distraught after he is killed by Eclipta once Jason disconnects the power coins from the machine which empowers the Ranger sentries. Scorpina would temporarily obtains a new form resembling a phoenix after the former Mighty Morphin Power Rangers use their power coins to power up the entire population with Morphin Grid energy. Even once the army loses all power, she and the other citizens in Angel Grove are able to beat Eclipta into a coma, and she is last seen watching the comatose Eclipta as Kimberly sends a message to Dark Spectre as a warning of their power. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more videos about your favorite comics, movies are coming soon. Join me on Patreon by Omaranger004. Your small donation helps run the channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.